Saturday, everybody. I am at Deb's Wawa because we are going to do something different today that I'm not sure is even going to be video worthy, but I'm gonna do the recordings and we'll see what happens. But we are going on a reconnaissance mission for a trip that she and I are planning for next month. But why don't you come along with me and we'll explain it on the way. So, the adventure that we are on, well, the adventure we're going to be on, that we are doing the recon for today, is Deb and I are planning, hoping, there are some extenuating circumstances that may thwart us, but we are going forward on the assumption that we're going to be able to do this trip, is we want to slack pack the Maryland section of the Appalachian Trail. This section is about 42 miles long. It has some rocky sections. It has a very steep incline at the southern end. But we both know that we are not yet at the point where we can hike 10 miles a day with 25-pound packs. But we think, emphasis on think, at least from my point, we can do 8 to 10 miles a day with a small pack. So that's the plan. We have mapped out where our breaks are going to be, and we're going to 2-car it. So we'll park one car at our end point for the day and then drive the other car to our starting point for the day, park there, hike down to the other car, drive back to the first car, and then drive to our hotel for the evening. For those of you who don't know, slack packing is basically backpacking without a backpack. You take your 10 essentials, you take some snacks, you maybe take your water filter, you hike for the day, and then you get off trail for the night, and then come back to the trail the next day to do your next section. A lot of thru hikers do this using shuttle drivers, or some of the hostels will arrange it with them to drive them 20 miles up the road and then they hike back to the hostel, things like that. So that's our plan. So what we're doing today is, as I said, we have mapped out where we think our road crossings are going to be that we'll be able to get on and off the trail. But we have to make sure that there's actually parking at those locations, because we don't want to get there the day of and find out that, oh, this is just a road with no shoulder and there's no place to leave a car for 6 or 8 hours. So that's where we're headed right now. We're heading to Panmar Park, which is the north end of the trail that we're going to do today, or that we're going to do next month. It's right at the Pennsylvania-Maryland border. It's like less than half a mile away from the Mason-Dixon line. And so we're going to check that out. We know there's parking there, but that's going to be kind of our starting point as we go to find our other road crossings. So let's go see if we're going to be able to find parking. So this is Panmar Park. It's just over the border into Maryland, and we didn't know any of the history of this place until we got here, but we found out it is one of the old railroad tourist parks that used to be. It had pavilions and a miniature railroad and a carousel and a great giant dining hall that would serve 500 people, and people from all over could take the trains out here to enjoy the natural beauty of the mountains here and their natural springs and lakes and all that. This was back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. The park unfortunately closed in 1943, and within a space of a day, the company that owned it tore down every building that was here, leaving it abandoned until the 70s, when the county came in and turned it into this lovely park. This is going to be our starting point for our slack pack trip. As you can see, the Appalachian Trail runs right through here. I'm seeing white blazes already. We're like 2/10 of a mile from the Mason-Dixon line. So this will be where we start. Now, we've got to figure out where our next point is going to be. We've got two places. One is about 8 miles down the road, and one is about 10 miles down the road. So we're going to go look at our maps and figure out where we're going next. All right, we have consulted the maps, and our next stop is Foxville Road, which I think is where we're planning to end day one. It's about 10 miles from here as the trail goes, about 8 as the car goes. So we're going to go check it out and see if we can find parking down there.
Road?
This is Foxville Road.
Yeah.
So, and we did get lucky. Our plans are working out so far. There is room for probably about 3 cars to park here. So if we plan to get an early start, we shouldn't have any problem parking here and hiking on the trail.
Like you said, nice end of the day. You're doing a little bit of a field walk to end here.
So I think the rocks are between here and Panmar. Oh, this is pretty.
Oh, this is pretty.
God, can you imagine walking on this for 10 miles? Boardwalks!
I love a boardwalk.
I love a boardwalk. All right, but we will not take the boardwalk. All right, this is the Wolfsville Road parking access. The Ensign Cowl shelter is just up the trail this way, and obviously this is the trail going back to where we just were on Foxville Road. This is another 1.5 miles from Foxville, and ideally this would be our day 1 stop. The Foxville Road stop is, depending on how we're feeling, a little bit shorter, but it would add more and throw off our count for future days. So ideally, this is going to be our day 1 stop. But also now we know if we get in trouble and we need to get off the trail at Foxville, it's a good place to stop and call for a shuttle to come and pick us up. So, all right, now we've got to figure out where our next stop is.
Okay. That was a blue blaze.
Probably out to Annapolis Rocks.
Okay.
All right. So this is our next stop. It's the parking lot at Annapolis Rocks. This is on Route 70 and 40 still in Maryland. And there is plenty of parking. So this is going to be a great place to end day 2 and start day 3.
freaky.
All right, so that did not work out. We followed this very windy road up to Lamb's Knoll Lookout, and it's a one-lane road with a lot of pullovers. And when we got to the top, there was a big government installation warning sign, no trespassing, cameras, gates,
10 feet high,
the whole 9 yards. So that was creepy and it's not going to work for our plan. So we are backtracking.
We noped out.
All right, but we think we have a plan B for this location. So we will show that to you when we get down off this creepy ass mountain, hopefully without getting arrested by the feds. So this is Reno Monument, which is down at the bottom of that very windy hill that we went up. And this looks like it's going to be perfect for our purposes. It's going to cut our first day a little bit short, but it's got plenty of parking and is right where we need to be for the day. This actually is a really interesting spot. There's a memorial here, and then this gravestone here. Two generals in the Civil War who actually knew each other but were leading on opposite sides of the war, both fought in the battle here, and they were both shot. And the story goes that when the Confederate general was being led to the hospital, he saw his friend and said, "Hello, Sam, I'm dead." And sure enough, he died shortly thereafter. Now, of course, this is his gravestone, and that is his friend's memorial. So this is all marked as hallowed ground because there was the major battle that was fought here. So it's a very significant spot. We don't know what's going on up at Lamb's Knoll. So, but I think this is going to be our stop for day 3 and the start of day 4. Alright, so Deb's GPS had a psychotic break and somehow couldn't find this location. But this is the Weaverton Cliffs parking lot. And this is going to be our end of day 4. This is the end of a 10-mile day. The trail itself is down at that intersection. And then it comes down through the woods here and under the highway and along the Potomac River, I believe, is on this side, and follows the path of the old C&O tow path or railroad path, I'm not sure which, and then takes you up over a train bridge and into Harpers Ferry proper. Now the plan we have right now is 4 8 to 10 mile days, and unfortunately that leaves us here at Weaverton Cliffs, which is about 4 miles shy of downtown Harpers Ferry, and depending on what time we can get off and how we're feeling. We may tack on another day and hike that last stretch just to get all of it in. But for the most part, we're going to be satisfied with getting here. So that is our plan. We'll see. Planning is everything. The plan is nothing. So we're going to see how it goes. We've been having a lot of pretty intense talks about expectations and the reality of what we can actually achieve right now with our current fitness levels. I'm the weak link in this chain because I'm not able to do regular training the way Deb is, unfortunately, because of my work schedules. But sometimes the only way to find out what you can do is to try it. And if you fail, you've at least learned what you can't do and what you need to do for next time. So we are now going to treat ourselves by actually going into Harpers Ferry and maybe do a little sightseeing and get some lunch. So Harpers Ferry is turning out to be a bit of a zoo. It's very crowded, and you can park at the National Park Visitor Center, but it is very far from downtown, so you have to take a shuttle. And there's a lot of people that we don't know, and that makes us a little bit nervous. So we have come to the Appalachian Trail Conservancy headquarters to check things out and just check in, and because we're all about the AT, so we might as well visit the home turf. So let's go take a look and see what this looks like inside. So we ended up having to make a fast escape from Harpers Ferry. It was a zoo. There was no parking anywhere. Deb dropped me off at the National Park bookstore so I could go add to my National Park pin collection, and I could get her replacement AT map for the section we're gonna hike. But and we couldn't. I mean, we're starving. It's almost 2 o'clock and we haven't eaten since breakfast, but we couldn't get to any of the restaurants because there was no parking.
It looks so charming. It's such a charming little town.
It's an adorable little town, and hopefully when we're here in September it won't be quite as crowded because of the tourist season, but we'll have to wait and see. But so we are on
route to the Conservancy.
We did go to the ATC Conservancy, and we got to look through the photo albums and had a lovely conversation with the person, the staffer there, and I got my bumper sticker for my car, and we got stamps for the AT to add to our national park books, and shared notes, and it was good. We did what we set out to do, which was AT focused, and we'll save the historical stuff for the next time we come down. And if we can't do it when we come down in September, maybe we'll kidnap Nikki and take the train down and do sightseeing on foot. But for now, we're going to wrap up today. We're going to try and find someplace to get something to eat and get ourselves home and get ready for next week's adventure. Next week's adventure is going to be a little unusual. Well, everything's a little unusual with me, but it's family camping trip week. I'm taking the kids on next Sunday out to State Park in Central PA, kind of in the area that Xander and I were in a couple of weeks ago. But it's a new campground for all of us, and so we're going to be exploring new trails and finding new ice cream parlors and having all kinds of new adventures. So there probably won't be a video next Tuesday, but there will be an extra long one, or maybe multiples the following week. All right, so I hope everybody has a great week and gets out and does something nice in the outdoors, and I will see you all next week. Take care. Bye. So we ended up in Frederick, Maryland for food, and our first choice was poorly made, and we ended up with very disappointing Mexican food. But it is first Saturday here in Frederick, and we're walking along the community park here. That's an old canal that's been beautified. I mean, these lilies are just amazing, and there are performers out and musicians and all sorts of restaurants and shops. So we're having a lovely walk. The weather's getting a little gloomy, so I'm not sure how long we're going to be able to stay out. But we
trying to get fudge and popcorn.
We do have fudge and popcorn shops in our future. So, but we're working off some of those disappointing calories before we get to make up for it.